everyone, and welcome back to Voices from the Community. I'm Yun, your host for today. I'm so glad you are here because today we are going to talk about something that really matters, something that affects so many people, especially in the Asian American and Pacific Islander community, which is Asian hate. We have all heard the phrase stop Asian hate over the past few years, but what does it really mean? And how does it really affect real people's lives? Asian Americans have faces discrimination for centuries. But during the COVID-19 pandemic, hate crimes and verbal abuse was skyrocketed. Between March 2020 and March 2022, the organization Stop AAPI Hate reported over 11,000 hate incidents against Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. And that's just what was reported. The title of today's episode is Stop Asian Hate, and we are diving into the past, present, and future of this ongoing issue. We'll look at the history of anti-Asian sentiment, the recent rise in hate crimes, and what community and organizations are doing to make a difference. We'll also talk about what you can do to help. Today, I'm joined by three amazing guests today. First, we have Dr. Chen, a professor
Hi.
of ethnic studies and an expert on Asian American history. Next, we have David,
Hello.
a Korean American community organizer born and raised in California. And finally, we are welcoming May,
Hello, everyone.
an international student from Malaysia who currently studying in New York. Welcome, everyone.
Thanks for having me, Yun. I'm really glad we are having this conversation. It's more important than ever.
Yeah, thank you. Honestly, this is personal for me and for a lot of people that I know.
I'm honored to be here too. It feels empowering just to be part of this conversation.
Let's start by understanding the bigger picture. Dr. Chen, can you walk us through the history of anti-Asian racism in the US?
Absolutely. A lot of people think anti-Asian hate is a recent thing, but it's actually deeply rooted in American history. It started in 19th century when Chinese immigrants were brought to the US as cheap labor. As they grew in number, white Americans began seeing them as a threat. This led to the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882, which was the first law in US history to ban immigration based on race or nationality. Then, during World War II, over 120,000 Japanese Americans, most of them US citizens, were forced into internment camps just because of their ancestry. Fast forward to 1982. We had the tragic case of Vincent Chin, a Chinese American man who was beaten to death in Detroit by two white men who thought he was Japanese. They blamed him for the downfall of the auto industry. The killers never served jail time. So really, anti-Asian violence has just evolved over time, but it never truly went away.
That's so painful to hear. I didn't learn any of that in school, especially not back home. I only learned about Vincent Chin last year, and it really shocked me. It made me realize how much of our history has gotten erased. Even though I was not born here, it still feels personal. Like somehow his story is also my story. This is because the kind of violence is not just physical, it's emotional too. It sends a message you don't belong, and that fear doesn't go away easily.
Yeah, and even though I was born here, I'll still get asked, where are you really from? Like I never truly belong. It's exhausting having to prove that you're American enough.
That feeling of not belonging is something so many of us have felt, and it became even more intense during the pandemic. David, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. During the pandemic, hate crimes against Asians surged. It was terrifying. I personally experienced verbal harassment on the street, and I know people who were physically attacked. It felt like we were being unfairly blamed for the virus, not because of facts, it's because of how we look and the misinformation that was being spread. There was one group that really helped bring attention to this was Stop AAPI Hate. So in between 2020 and 2022, they recorded more than 11,000 hate incidents. That's not just numbers. Those are people, victims, family. It includes everything from being spat on to racial slurs and to actual violence.
My parents were so scared of me. They told me not to go out unless I had to. Even just going to the grocery store felt risky. I wore a mask and kept my head down, and I still got dirty looks. There was the one time I was standing in line at a pharmacy, and someone muttered something like, "Go back to China." I was too stunned to respond. I remember going home and crying in the shower, not because of what was said, but because of how small it made me feel. Like I had no right to be in public. I think a lot of us just try to shrink ourselves to stay safe.
It's important to realize that this hate didn't appear out of nowhere. It was fueled by political language, phrases like China virus or Kung Fu flu. When people in power use those words, it normalizes hate. It sends a message that Asian people are foreign, dangerous, or dirty, and that has real consequences.
Dr. Chen, I had mentioned Stop AAPI Hate earlier, but I didn't get to know it more. Can you tell us more about what that organization does?
Absolutely. Stop AAPI Hate was launched in March 2020 by three groups: Chinese for Affirmative Action, the AAPI Equity Alliance, and the Asian American Studies Department at San Francisco State University. Their main focus is collecting and analyzing on hate incidents. But beyond that, they also advocate for policy changes, things like improving school safety, providing language access for immigrant communities, and supporting mental health programs. Thanks to their work, states and national leaders have started paying more attention to the needs of AAPI communities. They have helped push forward ethnic studies requirements, and they are creating real data information change.
I remember their reports going viral on social media. For the first time, I feel like people were actually listening to us, seeing the pain we have been through. I shared the reports with my classmates and even some professors. And surprisingly, a few of them reached out and said, "I didn't know it was this bad." That moment made me realize the power of awareness. The data gave us something to point to, something that could not be ignored or brushed off as just a few bad incidents.
I see. David, I know you have been involved with Asian Americans Advancing Justice, or we call as AAAJ. Can you share a bit about the group?
Definitely. Asian Americans Advancing Justice, or AAJ, is one of the longest standing organizations working for AAPI civil rights. They started in the 1990s and have expanded across the country. So their main job is to provide legal support for victims of hate crimes, offer help with immigration issues, and work hard on voter education, especially making ballots available in different Asian languages. They also train young leaders and build coalitions with Blacks, Indigenous, and Latinx communities. And what I love about them is they understand that our fight is connected to all fights for justice.
I actually joined one of their youth workshops online. They talk a lot about storytelling, how powerful our voices can be. It really inspired me. They encourage us to write our own narratives, not just in essays, but in art, videos, and open mics.
I see. Now, let's talk about something that often gets less out of these conversations: mental health. Why is it so hard for Asians to open up?
Honestly, growing up, I was always told to stay quiet and not bring shame. Mental health was not a thing. Even when I was struggling during the pandemic, I keep it all in because I did not want to worry my family. I did not want to make them think they had failed me. But inside, I was really breaking down. I lost sleep and I stopped eating properly. Eventually, I started seeing a campus counselor, and it was the first time anyone asked me, "How are you?" Seriously. That moment changed everything. I wish more of us knew it's okay to ask for help. That doesn't mean we are weak.
Yeah, I felt the same. There was one time where I was harassed on the subway. I had panic attacks, but I didn't tell anyone because I was too afraid to do so. Asians like us are taught to keep our heads down, but staying quiet just made it worse somehow.
Oh, this is a big issue. Many Asian communities don't have access to therapists who understand our cultural background. We need more culturally competent care, more support in schools, and more open conversations like this one.
Yes, I see. Now, what are some real things people can do to help stop Asian hate?
Start by educating yourself, learn the history, share it with others, support policies that include ethnic studies in schools.
I think that we can join bystander intervention trainings too, and we can offer them for free so that people will join them. Aside from that, we can also donate to groups like AAJ or Stop AAPI Hate so that they can protect our Asian rights. And last but not least, we can also voice out. We can post, share, speak up on social medias when something's wrong.
If you are on a campus or in a workplace, start a support group. Celebrate API Heritage Month. And please don't just be not racist, be actively anti-racist. Check in on your Asian friends. Sometimes just asking, "Are you really okay?" make a huge difference. Even just creating a space where we can share, where we can say, "I'm scared" or "I'm angry" without judgment can be healing. For me, healing started when someone simply believed me. When they didn't say, "Maybe they didn't mean it like that," but instead say, that was not okay." Stand with us. We need allies who show up even when it's not trending.
That's such a good advice. As we wrap up, what's one message you want to leave our listener with?
I say this: raising threats in silence, but change begins with truth. Keep speaking up.
Yeah, I agree. We're not invisible. We're here, we belong, and we won't be pushed aside anymore.
To every Asian person out there, your story matters. You matter. And you are never alone. And if you are not Asian but you are listening, thank you. Your support and kindness mean more than you know.
Great. Thank you all. Truly, this has been such a heartfelt conversation. To our listeners, keep learning, keep caring, and keep showing up for each other. Together, we can and we will stop Asian hate. See you next time. Bye bye.